Good morning, CWA family. How we doing? All right, we doing all right? All right, well, my name is Derek Osabase. I'm the District 6 Vice President. Where's my District 6 folks at? All right, good to see y'all, good to see y'all. I have the honor and privilege of introducing someone who I, quite frankly, I think the world of, and we've become friends over the last, I think about 4 or 5 years now. When he first started as the new executive director of the Working Families Party, I thought that they, quite frankly, made an amazing decision in his hire. And over the last, like I said, 4 years, me and Maurice Mitchell have become very close and kind of strategic partners on how we're actually moving this ecosystem we call the multiracial working class. And you know, I'd like to just kind of take a step back before I introduce him to the stage. The Working Families Party has been an integral part in partnership with CWA for a very long time, way before me. It started in District 1 with with District 1 and Chris Shelton and Dennis Traynor and Bob Masters, who is just like, quite frankly, he's retired, but I find him to be one of the most talented political strategic minds that this union has ever had. And I had the privilege of working with District 1 and seeing how the Working Families Party came to fruition in New York, and thought, like, why can't we do this in Texas? And it became a long project of like 7 years of trying to develop and build a WFP in Texas with partners from WFP and Maurice as he transitioned into the role. And I'm proud to say, like, we have a thriving WFP chapter in Texas. And we are really excited. Yeah. And we're excited about the work that we've been doing in Texas together, WFP and CWA. And so, you know, under Mo's leadership, who quite frankly, Mo, his background is, he's been an organizer. He has an organizing spirit. He's organized in New York, where he originally is from. He comes from a working class background. And quite frankly, you know, when I think of leadership, I think of Maurice Mitchell. He has had this ability to really unite and coordinate, you know, an ecosystem around the nation of organizations who are working to ensure that, you know, what there is a thriving multiracial working class in this country. And I think the work that he is doing at the WFP and the work that we have done together, quite frankly, is the key to continue and to thrive as working class people. And I can't thank him enough for being here. So I'd like to introduce my friend, my brother, Maurice Mitchell, the Executive Director from WFP.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you so much for that warm, generous introduction. Hello, CWA family. Hello. It's a true pleasure and honor to be with you here today. Having grown up in a union household, being together with hundreds of union activists feels like my home away from home. So truly, truly, it is a blessing and an honor, because working people drive and make this country and this economy. Is that not right? That's right. I'm Maurice Mitchell, National Director of the Working Families Party. I am here today in the spirit of solidarity in advance of the generational battle ahead of us. As some of you may know, and as Derek shared, CWA, more than other unions, any other union, has been with WFP since the beginning. Over a quarter century ago, CWA was one of the founders of the Working Families Party in New York. And ever since, you have been one of our closest allies and collaborators, if not the closest. I want to shout out CWA President Claude Cummings, My brother. Claude brought the house down at our national convention in Philadelphia last October. Thank you, Claude. And I want to reaffirm my partnership with my brother, Derek Osabase, District 6 Vice President, a pillar of the Texas WFP, and a longtime member of the WFP National Executive Committee. And I also want to give a shout out to CWA District 1 Vice President, Dennis Traynor, our close partner. And we're working on the Battleground New York project together, Dennis, and we're gonna take back the house. Isn't that right? Yeah. This is going to be a speech about where we've been and what we could do together. But first, one quick housekeeping rule. If you'd like to stay connected, I invite you to pull out your phones right now. You can pull them out, and you could text CWA to the number 30403. If you text the letter CWA to the number 30403, that will send you a link to my socials. It'll connect you to me. I won't flood your phone with unnecessary texts, I promise. But we'll stay connected, and you could reach out. You could actually text back and be like, I have a question, Maurice, and I'll get back to you, all of that. So let's start here with something I know that everyone here understands to the depth of their bones. What happens in November matters. What happens in November matters. It matters a lot to the future of working people, to the future of our democracy, to the future of our children, to the future of this union. Am I lying? The current administration may not be perfect, but none of us are. But it is probably the most pro-labor we have ever seen, and certainly since FDR was in the White House. Am I lying? It's not just symbolic things like walking picket lines, although that's great, or sending pro-union videos to Amazon workers, although we love that. It's making a critical difference with appointments to the Department of Labor and the National Labor Relations Board. Your very own Jennifer Abruzzo as general counsel, right? Or filling the infrastructure and IRA acts with pro-union provisions, or forcing Micron to go to the table with you on a labor peace agreement. These are concrete concessions. Joe Biden has a history of being pro-labor, but it was labor's pressure from below that pushed him to be as good as he is. That is the crux of why CWA helped to found the Working Families Party, to build independent political power that can demand that working people's interests are served. We have to defeat the power of the bankers and the billionaires, and we have to battle against reactionary Republicans and corporate-controlled Democrats, because we're clear that a D next to your name is insufficient information. Am I right? When we started the WFP, it was at the height of the ascendancy of corporate power inside the Democratic Party. National Democrats worshiped at the altar of deregulation and free trade and Wall Street. Workers were an afterthought, and we knew we had to organize, we had to run primaries, we had to run issue campaigns, we had to take out corporate Democrats and defeat reactionary Republicans in order to change the direction of American politics, and we did. Even back in the 1940s and 50s and 60s, before the era of NAFTA and CAFTA and rampant deregulation, back when unions were at their strongest in history, even then, the Democratic Party was never a labor party. We rented a room in their house, but we didn't own our own house. Am I speaking the truth? Well, WFP, the Working Families Party, is the radical idea of an independent political party that fights for the interest of working people, including those in labor. Tax the risk, or invest in improving the lives of working people. Unions are those who aren't in one yet. Now, you may be wondering, how does that look like in practice? How do we build this? How do we build independent political power? To start with, we need to acknowledge that the rules aren't on our side. We have to act like an independent political party in a two-party system. The interest of the American worker as our own party. Are you following me? The same way workers organize on the shop floor before they want any of the limited protections they have now, we need to think about how we organize political power in that same way, in the shop floor of politics. Following? The WFP isn't like most other independent political parties. We don't run vanity presidential campaigns every 4 years that have no shot of winning, or that risk electing the candidate we like least. Instead, we built our own party from the ground up. We planted seeds in cities across America, and we're seeing the fruits of those efforts across 20 states and counting. We've built coalitions that include labor unions, community groups, social movement forces, and everyday people, and together we are making the impossible possible. In New York, where we got our start, we were up against a Democratic Party that was abandoning its New Deal roots and moving rapidly to the right, a Democratic Party that didn't want to do the fundamental things that working people demanded that it did, from healthcare to supporting labor unions to taxing people in corporations and the wealthy just their simple fair share. During one era, a breakaway faction of Democrats called the Independent Democratic Caucus in New York threw control of the state Senate over to the Republicans and blocked pro-worker legislation time and again. Imagine being so committed to the interests of corporate America that as Democrats, you caucus with Republicans, depriving your party from power. That shows you how sickening and corrosive the power of big money is in this democracy. So what did WFP do? We organized. We ousted the members of that breakaway faction, replacing them with working families Democrats. And then we got serious about governing, raising wages, raising workers' compensation and unemployment benefits, passing legislation creating high-road green jobs, strengthening voting rights, and enacting criminal justice reform. We've replicated this model in state after state after state. In New Mexico, we slowly reshaped the legislature, paving the way for automatic voter registration, funding public schools, and soon paid family leave. We've challenged business as usual in the most corporate-friendly state in the country, Delaware, not too far from here, and passing a $15 minimum wage and more along the way. In Pennsylvania, we've run Republicans off the city council in Pennsylvania and replaced them with two working-class WFP champions who just won eviction protections. Pennsylvania is a two-party city, the Democrats and the Working Families Party. And where the rules work against us, we work to change the rules. In New Jersey, we've taken legal action to end the rigged county line primary system. Yeah. And finally, we're making that state a real democracy. This spring, our legal team had a resounding victory, and by the next election cycle, we'll be able to contest for power like we do in so many other states. And behind this patient, strategic approach are some radical ideas. At WFP, we believe in the radical idea that working people can and should govern, that every worker who wants a union should have the freedom to organize, that no child in the richest country in the history of countries should ever go hungry. That no matter what you look like, where you come from, or how much money is in your pocket, you should be able to have a good job and a good life. That everyone should be able to retire with dignity, with a decent standard of living and genuine health security. If someone wants to call us radical for believing in and acting upon those principles, then we plead guilty. Guilty as charged. The bottom line is this country can, this country must do radically better by and for all working people. Okay, so now that I've got us beating our chest and feeling our strength, we have to get very, very real about some of the challenges in front of us. Unfortunately, my comrades, we do not have a monopoly on big ideas. Some of the biggest ideas right now are coming from the right wing, are coming from Christian nationalists, are coming from the corporations. They are dreamers. They are dreaming terrifying dreams, but they are ambitious nonetheless. Terrifying dreams, those are known as nightmares. If you've not read Project 2025 or Donald Trump's interview with Time about his plans for a second term, you need to. Every working person needs to. Regardless of if you identify as a Republican or a Democrat or progressive or conservative or independent, read those interviews, read that playbook. Believe them when they say who they say they are. His dreams and the dreams of the corporate forces lining up behind him are our nightmares. They've mapped out the steps and are lining up the people required to enact them. Project 2025, the 900-page blueprint they've drafted for Trump's second term, in their own words, I'm quoting, is not a white paper, it's a battle plan, and we are marshaling our forces. Battle plan. Who are they battling? I thought in America, if you do better, I do better. If we are brothers and sisters struggling together across race, class, gender, state by state, I thought that's what this country was about. Who are they battling, if not working people? I'm quoting them. I didn't make that up. The chapter on labor is downright terrifying. They pull no punches. Here are a few of the lowlights. And I want us to listen, because this is directly from their playbook. This is why November is so important. They want to pass legislation that would eliminate the right to time and a half overtime and let employers offer comp time instead. Imagine that. Imagine that reality. That's in store for us as soon as next year if we don't do what's necessary now until November. They want to gut the NLRB and the Department of Labor, get rid of all the pro-labor appointees and make them tools of the corporation. Don't take my word for it, just read their book. They want to do away with the section of the National Labor Relations Act that bans company unions, which are phony unions set up by and controlled by employers in order to keep real unions out. They want to strip tens of thousands of federal employees of civil service protections so Trump and his minions could fire anyone he decides to, who they deem part of the quote-unquote deep state. That's tens of thousands of members of the American Federation of Government Employees kicked out of the union. Are you taking this in? And why stop there? Project 2025 wants Congress to prevent employers from negotiating card check agreements that establish workers' desire to join a union without an NLRB election. Imagine what that would do for you, for CWA, for the working men and women that you represent. We've gotten used to saying this is the most important election of our lifetimes every 4 years. Well, we might be tired of that, and I get it, but unfortunately, the threat is real. Make no mistake, we are facing the most dangerous threat to democracy since the Civil War. And if you're feeling daunted, you should be. I certainly am. But let me remind you, working people and organized labor specifically have done and can do hard things. We've seen what happens when working people lead, when auto workers come together across race and age to say record profits demand record contracts. All across the country, we've seen working people fight, teachers, UPS drivers, call center workers, to demand a truly democratic country. The data is all around us. When working people organize and fight, we win. But we have to stop playing small. We have to challenge the myth that we are powerless and our ideas don't matter. We have to show that the people united are an unstoppable force. It's time we run the damn table as working people in this country. This work is hard, but if we do it right, our children, my child who's sitting right there, wave your hand, Malachi. They will be the inheritors of the vast forest whose roots we water today. This is a call to action. If anything, what I'm saying, if anything resonates with you, if you're able, if you can, if anything I've said resonates, if you and I believe in the power of working people, I want you to stand. If you're able, I want you to stand. I want you to stand because this is a call to action. I want you to stand and make some noise if you believe that what you do in this moment matters. If you believe that working people are mighty, that we've always changed the world, that we've always transformed the world when working people come together. If you want our leaders to stop talking about fighting poverty and start creating the good union jobs that we needed, I need to hear you. I need to hear you. If you want every child to go to a great school and believe every grandparent deserves the right to retire with dignity, if you want every school board, city council, state legislature, and Congress to be stacked with people willing to serve the people and not the wealthy corporations, let me hear you. If you want to win in November, let me hear you. Because when we fight, when we organize, when we build, we win. When we fight, when we fight, when we fight, when we organize, when we build. If we could do that, if we could join as working people in this historical moment and defeat the corporations and defeat the haters and defeat the Christian nationalists that want to take away what is rightfully ours as working people in this country, I believe that we will get free. Let's do it. Thank you.